increases metabolism, and my very favorite thing it does is it holds on the lean muscle mass as we age or when we go through a weight loss experience, whether that's injury, illness based, or if it's somebody who is trying to lose weight or it's like on GLP-1 type of weight loss. It basically holds on all that lean muscle mass. So not only can it help you during those times of stress, but if you're somebody who has been looking at more pharmaceutical or like lap band type of ways for losing weight, this can be a nice off-boarding. And this can be taken by itself. It can be taken with CBD. It can also be taken with that Reshape product for people. OEA, in addition, will actually help you create new GLP-1. So it addresses the deficiency in a part of our gut called the L cells, L like Larry. When the L cells start to break down as we age, it just naturally happens. Dysbiosis takes place, poor diet, stress, anxiety, whatever. Those L cells, where we make 70% of the body's GLP-1, fail to do their job. Big Pharma knows this. They know GLP-1 is very important for the way our body works, but instead of talking about why we lead ourselves to dysfunction, they're selling synthetic GLP-1, which is fantastic. It gives us great, quick, we love instant in this country. You get those fast results, but we're getting them with some negative side effects. It's showing to be pretty problematic for the thyroid. It's showing to be a large amount of the weight that we lose is actually muscle mass. It's not that fat that we want to lose. And when people go off of the GLP-1s, all of that cessation of appetite they experience while on the pharmaceutical, it rebounds with a gusto. So not only does their appetite return to what it once was, it's like it overcompensates. So a product like this, within 3 months, you're going to start to see the L cells improve. You're going to see more GLP-1 production. That's not only good for weight loss and blood sugar regulation. My favorite thing with GLP-1 is if GLP-1 isn't present in the body, your autoimmune and your inflammatory issues are going to be horrendous. It also is one of the best things our body can utilize to lessen the onset of things like Parkinson's. And then the other one is so important, I think, right now in our time in history, when there's not enough GLP-1 in our system, we're more likely to engage in dopamine-seeking behaviors. Too much social media, get those quick likes, get the dopamine. Gambling, dopamine. Compulsive eating, dopamine. All compulsive shopping, all these things that as a society we're really struggling with. GLP-1 being absent from our system is really part of that. So within about 3 months, you'd see that increase. You're going to see better food choices, but you're also going to see better control over that dopamine-seeking behavior. I'm a little ADHD. I definitely have an empty cup when it comes to dopamine. So that was really one of the first areas I saw when I started using OEA consistently. It's like, my Amazon gift packages are not as abundant as they once were. I was feeling much more in control over those impulse decisions in my life. So I really love this one. Oh, it can be safe. It's safe to take with thyroid meds. It's going to be safe to take with blood pressure medication, safe to take with GLP-1 if people are taking it and want to like taper off. OEA doesn't have any contraindication with pharmaceuticals, so we love it for that. It's like PEA in that regard. Restore is the one I was just talking about for you. This is going to be boosting NAD levels. Really meant for like the 40 and up kind of category. When we get past 40, those NAD levels are just going. Whether it's because our autoimmune is out of control, we're not eating well, we're stressed, we're working 3 jobs, we're physically not recovering with adequate sleep, all of those things deplete NAD. So Restore is 2 soft gels a day. You're going to start to feel it within about 2 weeks. Better energy levels, better recovery, less oxidative stress, and that'll result in better thinking, better focus, better motivation. There's a combination in here of PEA to support inflammation and immune.
What is that?
PEA? PEA stands for palmitoyl ethanol amide, and it's what's known as a fatty acid mediator. So it's made off of fatty acids, with our body in a perfect world would make enough of it. We don't live in perfect, obviously, and when we don't have a balanced intake of omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, we're going to struggle to make enough PEA. If we're very stressed out, physically, mentally, or emotionally, we're going to struggle to make enough PEA. And if we are dealing with an immune or inflammatory challenge, whether it is chronic or acute, our body is going to have a higher demand for PEA. We don't store it. We hope that the body can make it on demand when it's needed. When it cannot do its job, everything within the immune system is going to struggle. So you're going to see that you're more likely to get sick in the first place. You're going to struggle to fight off that illness. You're going to have a harder time with allergies. We see that PEA is very important in keeping the integrity of the gut lining intact. So when we don't have enough PEA, we start to see leaky gut. We see those tight junctions. We need PEA for healthy nerve function. So when we don't get enough PEA, we're going to see more neuropathy. We're going to see more issues with pain. We need PEA for our brain and our heart. So when we don't have enough of it, especially like, let's say I get traumatic brain injury. If my body can't make enough PEA during that time, my brain is going to be in a really bad situation. It needs it in order to recover. And if you are somebody who deals with an autoimmune disease, that is an indicator that a pathway within your immune system is called the NAW enzyme pathway. That's N-triple-A. If you have an immune issue or an injury that just keeps coming back no matter what you do, that pathway has broken down. It's not working anymore. PEA has been shown to not only maintain the integrity of that pathway, but it can actually recover it, making you more recoverable over time. So we see immediate benefits to pain and inflammation, injury, immune, all that good stuff. But then over the long term, we also see that it's able to recover you. It's a really awesome molecule. And not to go off on a tangent, but if you love like historical, how did we come to this place stuff, PEA has a really cool story of like Nazi intrigue and feminist matriarch hero who refused to let the Nazis enter research. And it got, once the Flexner report came out, and we see this pivot to pharmaceutical petroleum-based medicines, that whole research was lost, and then it was the discovery of the endocannabinoid system that brought it back into the forefront, and that all ties in with marijuana issues. And yeah, I mean, it's a really cool story. But I love PEA, and I obviously love cannabis. But one of the reasons CBD and THC and those molecules work so well for so many people is that so many people aren't making the PEA. It's really kind of at the heart of how the endocannabinoid system functions. And the PEA, and PEA is only one of many fatty acid mediators. It does inflammation and immune, but then there are also fatty acid mediators like OEA. We have that in our products. That's oleoyl ethanol amide. That one's all metabolism. So blood pressure, lipids, cholesterol profiles, your hunger mechanisms, your ability to hold on to lean muscle mass, your ability to keep your gut burning fat for you. And then there's another one called oleamide. That one helps all the sleep regulation and all of your recovery during sleep. So there's all of these fatty acid mediators that the research is really heating up on. And it's a really cool new front in all of the endocannabinoid research. And I also really appreciate it because it opens this area of health up to so many people who couldn't take products because of cannabis, because either they didn't respond well to it, or they got drug tested, or they worked for an agency that said, no way, you can't even get into this. All of the mediators are completely safe for those groups of people. We can also give the fatty acid mediators to children. So my son has been taking PEA since he was weaned at 2 years old. I would give it to any child who is dealing with immune issues, inflammation issues, skin, eczema, psoriasis. That's how many kids? I think it's 3 out of 4 kids now deal with eczema or psoriasis. It's huge. PEA will completely calm all of that down.
So, yeah.
Your kid going to school the first year, they get sick. Everything that they touch is gooey. My kid never got sick, despite because PEA supports the body's resilience. It lessens the likelihood of illness. And when he does get sick, he's over it like that. OEA, they're now giving Ozempic and Wegovy to 6-year-olds in this country because so many of our children are overweight.
They are not.
They are.
Seriously.
It was approved for 6 and up. 6 and up. And Wegovy was approved for 6 and up.
I lost 200 pounds. I understand where it
Yeah.
is. I didn't do it for us.
No. And I don't have a problem with weight loss drug. I don't. I think they've been microdosing GLP-1s and peptides for 25 years in naturopathy. I think that there's a space for all of it. But when we're jumping to pharmaceuticals for children, when there are so many things we should do first, I have a significant problem with it. And if I had a child whose metabolic system was completely dysregulated to a point where we were thinking meds, I would 100% go OEA before that. We're going to get that. There's a reason the system is dysregulated. Let's pulling it back together. So, yeah. You just asked about PEA, and I went on a full 5-minute tangent on PEA and mediators, but we're small group.
Is PEA the precursor to our endocannabinoid production, or is it kind of different?
If our body doesn't have the PEA to have the endocannabinoid system in its ideal balanced state, you're going to see a lessening of the other cannabinoids because it limits the enzymes that produce them.
I see.
So it doesn't directly, but it in a way ends up leading to that.
Right. That's really interesting.
And they can all, I mean, like with stress, we see stress depletes the fatty or increases the enzyme that seals our natural bliss and euphoria, right? So that all of these things that we interact with can kind of influence the enzymes that make and break down our own cannabinoids. And then our diet, and whether or not we have enough good omega-3 to create that molecule in the first place,
Right.
where most Americans are very omega-6 rich and 3 deficient. I mean, honestly, we could get America to just balance its omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. So many of these issues that we address as a company would be alleviated to a great extent.
Right.
Like every lecture I've given, I've been with this company for 9 years. And every lecture, other than in the small group where we all kind of are just chit-chatting, I do at least 20 minutes on lifestyle. The things you should do to make our products as unnecessary as possible, or so you can take as little as humanly possible and save your money. These are the things to do. You know what percentage of people walk out with an omega and CBD? Some do. They're super excited about it. And then I get reports like, oh, I used to have to take 30 milligrams. Now I only have to take 15 because my body started to respond to it better and needed less.
Right.
But a lot of people would just rather have the instant feeling and not necessarily address the root, the dysfunction. Yeah. It'll work either way for you. It just depends on how you want to.
So by doing both, omega-3 fats along with cannabinoids,
Oh, dream team.
you're just really boosting.
Oh, dream team. I've literally seen people who needed to take 45 up to 100 milligrams of CBD to feel it, be able through balancing their 3-6 ratios where 15, 25 was what they needed. And we also see that hugely, like the dietary imbalances, omega-6, very high arachidonic acid is going to feed that desire to just compulsively eat.
What is omega-6 found?
Your canola oil, your sunflower oils,
Processed foods.
all the processed
Okay.
foods. Anything shelf stable is going to be omega-6. A lot of your seeds and nuts also, but there's also good omega-6. So if we're looking at omega-6 like in hemp seed oil, that omega-6 is very, very high in an anti-inflammatory compound called gamma-linolenic acid. Gamma-linolenic acid is wonderful for joint pain, skin issues, and hormone problems. The problem with it is that gamma-linolenic acid is very fragile. And so people aren't using that type of an omega-6 in foods because the whole point of adding an omega-6 rich oil in a food is to shelf stabilize. So you have to look for things that are more. So omega-6 in and of itself really isn't the problem. Is it arachidonic acid rich or gamma-linolenic acid rich? And then, not to like even complicate it further, but there are some of us, like so most people can take in arachidonic acid, which is your pro-inflammatory fat, and their body has the ability to convert some of that into the anti-inflammatory compound. It can do the conversion. But for a small percentage of us, we don't have enough of the enzyme to do that conversion. So omega-6 has become basically poisonous to our body. I'm one of those people, and we see it in eczema sufferers a lot. If you meet somebody who's like, I've done everything in the world for eczema, and nothing has ever worked, almost always the situation where their body isn't creating that gamma-linolenic acid, and it's creating all of these inflammatory cascades that are seen as a symptom within the skin. So if they start eating hemp seeds or taking borage oil, that all calms down for them. It's magical. And it's usually, eczema is usually a canary in the coal mine. You don't want to shut it down. You want to listen to it. Because people who have eczema almost always have joint issues later on. And if you're female, your perimenopause, menopause is going to be super fun. So hearing that eczema early on and making sure you get that gamma-linolenic acid somehow will make all of the other issues a lot easier. Balance those omegas. So statistically, when we look at the American diet, most of us would have to supplement with 5,000 to 10,000 milligrams of omega-3 a day to offset the dietary sins. And from working in health food stores, I find most consumers, if they're taking a fish oil, are taking 1,000 to 2,000 a day at most. So they're really not counteracting that. But even in those smaller amounts, if they're taking it with their CBD, it's going to make that CBD work better, for sure. Well, we have new people who joined. We were a small group, and we had kind of gone off on a tangent outside of the expected discussion for tonight. So do you want me to like go back to the relief and do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about the relief. Have you guys tried the relief before in the store? Okay.
Oh, good to know.
Let me hand out some pamphlets here. Honestly, since we've been selling this, I think it came out in, what year was it, like 2019 or 2020 or something, I remember?
It had to be it was after COVID.
It was
right before COVID.
It was right before, because I remember
End of 2018.
when I went to Cincinnati and opened that store,
Yeah.
it was 2020, and that's when they came in and told me that I had to close my doors down in Cincinnati because CBD is not an essential
Business.
well, it's not an essential. Whereas alcohol, they left alcohol stores open because you can't cut people off from alcohol; they might die. So they considered that an essential business. That's why they didn't close down the liquor stores during COVID, but they came and closed me down at both my stores, Columbus. So I had to get my uncle to write me a letter, who's an attorney, that because CBD acts on our immune system, that is an essential thing, especially during COVID. Hello, we need our immune system for COVID. Don't we? Well, of course. Well, guess what? That letter he wrote me allowed my stores to stay open.
That's awesome.
And I still have the letter posted in front of my
That's
store, yeah.
I love that.
And so it allows.
There was
us to
quite a
understand.
bit of research that took place during COVID. People who were taking CBD got sick less often. They looked at medical people working in the trenches during all of that. The people who were CBD users got sick a lot less often, and when they got sick, they fought it off with less symptoms and long-term effects, which is pretty cool.
Very.
Pretty cool. All right, so what we originally were here for, which is relief. Just a little overview. The reason products like relief work is because we all have something called an endocannabinoid system. Endo meaning internal cannabinoid system. Our endocannabinoid system's main job is to essentially help us maintain homeostasis or internal balance. And that's all fine and great, but what that means to us on an everyday basis is that this system is the system that determines how well we adapt to life's challenges and changes. And as a company, when we look around, we're finding that people are not adapting well. They're not adapting well to stress issues. They're not adapting well to immune challenges. They're not adapting well hormonally. They're not adapting well from a sleep perspective. They're not recovering as well. Our metabolisms are a mess. So as a company, the heart of our mission is to make people more adaptable. We want to make it so the good times are even better. And when life does life and you have some roller coasters, your body is more capable of meeting the challenge physically, mentally, and emotionally, overcome it, and get back to the good parts. So supporting this system makes a lot of sense because it determines our ability to do just that. Now, in a perfect world, your endocannabinoid system would be able to make more than enough of its own internal cannabinoids, cannabis-like substances that work within the system to keep it balanced. You'd have a dense receptor system. I think of the receptors as hands reaching out. They want to be friends with your cannabinoids, whether you're making them or you're taking them in supplement form. In a healthy world, we have a lot of receptors and they are very extroverted. And then we would be able to circulate our cannabinoids, retain them through their life cycle, and they would be sensitive at the receptor to our cannabinoids. If all of that was working, our system would be balanced. It would keep us balanced and adapt. But that's not happening for most of Americans. Most Americans are not making enough of their own internal cannabinoids. A lot of Americans have a low density of receptors, so not as many as they should. And instead of being extroverted, they are becoming more introverted. They're hiding from connection. And a lot of us are really struggling to circulate the cannabinoids, hold on to them for their full life cycle, or be sensitive to them. When this happens, we start to see the symptoms of a hard time adapting. That's lack of sleep. That's an inability of controlling our stress response. That's hormones out of whack. That is our pain disrupting our life quality. It's an inability to fight off illness properly and recover over the long term. All of that is connected to the system, in addition to our blood sugar regulation, how we store fat, how our brain ages, and how our heart works. There is no area of your human physiology that is not regulated by this system to some degree. So it's really important how we think, feel, and act on a daily basis. Now, if you want your endocannabinoid system to do the best it possibly can on its own, we want to balance those omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. It's really important. Fatty game, grass-fed meats, pastured eggs, oily fish, your seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, leafy greens, full of omegas. We want to get our intake of those up. We want to decrease the processed oils. Your canola oil, sunflower oil, packaged food, omega-6, they're going to be very problematic for this system. Movement dictates receptors. If you move a lot, and especially if you challenge your system physically on a regular basis, you will have a lot of receptors and they will be very eager for new friendships. When we stop moving by choice or circumstance, we lose receptor density. That's going to mean less connectivity points. So it means if we're making cannabinoids, they're not reaching as many points. If we're taking them in supplement form, we're going to need a higher dose and usually a little bit more time to feel it. Now, in very desperate situations, if I've been sitting for a long time, let's say I'm wheelchair bound, I can't move. What will happen to those receptors, instead of being upregulated, ready for connection, they're going to downregulate. We can think of them as hiding behind our back. They're a lot harder to find. In that case, that's going to result in a much higher dose, typically of CBD, at least in the beginning, and a little bit more patience to see that outcome. Within time, the thing is CBD is that it's nourishing the system. It's not replacing something we should make. I think of it kind of as a rebound boyfriend. It's never the soulmate. It can't fit within the system quite perfectly, but it can give you just enough attention, just enough affection and connection that you get your mojo back and you go find the soulmate. But in the case of the endocannabinoid system, you get back to making the soulmate. So even people who are very high dose of CBD in the beginning, if they're making some lifestyle choices that are improving their health, they're keeping consistent with the products, usually around 3 months, they can start titrating down on the dose and settle in a more average range. Their system has picked up, it's starting to do its job again. But the more we move, the healthier we are in the beginning, the faster those results tend to take place. Being comfortable is the disaster code for your endocannabinoid system. It does not want to be comfortable and sitting in a chair. It doesn't want convenience food. And it definitely does not want to be comfortable from a temperature standpoint. Our ancestors were given hundreds of opportunities in a day to adapt to slight variances in the temperature. Think of the Midwest in spring where you get all of the seasons from morning to night. Oh, you're peeling it all off. Start winter, and then we got hot summer. All of those adaptations without any air conditioner, without any heater, it forced their body to overcome discomfort. It made them robust. That ability to adapt to stress transfers over to your immune system, to aging, to all of the other things that the endocannabinoid system is responsible for. So if you love comfortable, we are modern, we live in comfortable environments now. Finding ways to biohack that ancient tradition is valuable. Turn the shower cold for the last few minutes. So it's a good thing to do. It sucks. Definitely sucks leading up to it. Nobody wants to do it, but you feel really great afterwards. You get a surge of dopamine and serotonin shuttling through your body. The dopamine and serotonin you get from polar plunging or turning that shower cold stays around in our bloodstream longer than any pharmaceutical tested on the market today. And you need just 11 minutes a week to get the benefits. It's wild. Get uncomfortable. We also, our bodies love steam rooms. We love saunas. We especially love it when we go cold to hot. Think of those Nordic cultures. They go from saunas into the ice water, back again. They do it with their babies. They put their babies out in the middle of winter. They're all bundled. But you go into these Nordic cold countries, and the baby carriage is lying even in the middle of winter because they know that that fresh air, that adaptation is so important for their children. It's important for us too. Don't be comfortable. Diet matters, no surprise here. The more colorful your diet is, the better you will circulate, retain, and sensitize to your cannabinoids. If you're eating a brown and beige diet, you won't. And when it comes to CBD, it may mean that you need to take more and you need to go a little longer. Your body's going to have a harder time using it. If your gut is in a horrible state of dysbiosis, you are putting undue burden on your endocannabinoid system. It's going to struggle to do all of its other jobs. And if you're constantly stressed and not finding healthy ways to deal with that stress, you're essentially going to burn it out eventually. It controls your adrenals. It controls all of your stress responses. If you're constantly asking it to respond, eventually it's going to say, hey, I don't think I can help you with your immune system anymore because you keep really messing with my HPA axis. I can only do so much. HPA axis is hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal cortex. That's our entire stress response. So in a lot of times what you see in people is that the endocannabinoid system is spending so much time in that place, but all of the other things that it was supposed to be dealing with aren't getting what they need. So it's really important for the whole system to kind of be supported here. Now, things that help our endocannabinoid system that have nothing to do with diet or hemp. Singing, great for your ECS. Dancing is fantastic. Prayer, but only if you don't have negative feelings about religion. If you have negative associations with religion and you're forced to pray, it will actually do the opposite to your endocannabinoid system. Wild, right?
I love
So crazy how the system creates our bodies create our own perception. Walking in nature, fantastic for your endocannabinoid system. Essential oils are great for it. Herbs, adaptogenic herbs, rhodiola, holy basil, lemon balm, your endocannabinoid system loves them. Orgasmine by yourself or somebody you love does not matter. It is fantastic for your endocannabinoid system. Do it often. Exercise, wonderful for your ECS. All those things we always knew were good. They're great for the system. The more we do, the better it will function, the more adaptable we will become. And it's important because while most people think of this whole area of research as stress, sleep, and pain, like I said, there's no area of this system that's not regulated here. So whether you're worried about your brain, your heart, your gut, how you store fat, how you're aging from a muscle standpoint, how you regulate blood sugar, it's all connected here. So with that being said, my favorite product that we make at CV Sciences currently, and the one we're here to talk about tonight, is the Relief. Relief is all things inflammation and immune. One soft gel a day will keep a healthy person healthy from an endocannabinoid system standpoint, or will deal with minor, moderate issues. When we're in crisis, we can go 2 to 4 a day. Crisis can be autoimmune, it can be neuropathy, it can be migraines, menstrual cramps, it can be I'm getting sick too much, I'm having a hard time fighting it off. It can be gut issues, leaky gut, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's. There's really no area, if it is regulated by inflammation immune, this is going to cover its bases. It can be taken alone, can also be taken alongside pharmaceutical or over-the-counter pain relieving treatments, and is a great companion to other things like foam rolling and chiropractic and all of the other things we do to keep our systems functioning. There are 3 ingredients in this. The first one is CBD, 15 milligrams per soft gel. CBD is going to support, as we were talking about, the endocannabinoid system. It's going to help with stress, it's going to help with the central nervous system, it's going to help with inflammation, and over 200 different functions within the immune system. We also see that CBD is fantastic at helping us regulate sleep cycles. And typically when people hurt or are sick, their sleep is compromised as well. And that's usually an area where pain relieving products are not going to address. They're not going to address stress response, and they're not going to address sleep. This does both. CBDA is the component that gives you fast results. So CBDA is the raw form of CBD. The hemp plant is so amazing that its molecules give us completely different benefits if they are raw or slightly heated. In the raw form, they're bound to an acid. That acid bind stops it from crossing the blood-brain barrier. Its benefits are going to stay in the body, they connect down. In the case of CBDA, we love it because it works like Tylenol at the COX-2 enzyme pathway. It's going to take that inflammation, pain, fire out. Within 15 to 30 minutes, you're going to noticeably feel less pain, less headache, less migraine. Your back's going to feel better. If it was your knees feel better. If sleep is an issue because you're in pain, take it at night before you go to bed. You won't be doing the rotisserie chicken all night trying to find that comfortable place where nothing hurts. Unlike Tylenol and aspirin, Aleve, all those others, CBDA does not affect the COX-1 enzyme pathway. So we have none of the negative side effects, so ulcers, gallbladder, liver issues whatsoever. So for people who blew their body out by taking too many over-the-counter pain relievers, or they found the oxy isn't working like it used to, this is a great alternative for those options. We also love CBDA because it binds to serotonin receptor sites in the gut and it alleviates nausea. So whether it's motion sickness, stress-induced nausea, chemotherapy, or pharmaceutical-induced nausea, it'll quiet all of that down for us. CBDA is also fantastic for our gut. It helps keep that integrity at the gut barrier, and it's been really great in skin issues as well as autoimmune issues like fibromyalgia, MS type pain issues. You're getting 15 milligrams of CBDA per soft gel. That is, we used to sell a product that had 3 milligrams of CBDA in it, and it worked. This is like a super dose of CBDA. It's magic. Then the third ingredient, the one we were talking about before, PEA, palmitoyl ethanol amide. This is inflammation immune regulation. So that PEA has immediate benefits to pain and inflammation. It helps us feel better fast. It has middle stage benefits, and it has amazing long-term recovery benefits via that NAW enzyme pathway that we were discussing before. I think that was a little bit before you all came in. But PEA has this amazing ability to support a pathway within our immune system. It's called the NAW enzyme pathway, NAAA. The NAW enzyme pathway determines how recoverable we are. So if you're dealing with an injury or an illness that just keeps coming back no matter what you do, that's an indicator that that pathway is broken down and it's not pulling you back into health. PEA has been shown to be able to pull that pathway back into good response. So it's a great option. When I worked with customers more directly within the store, within clinics and things, the things that I always struggle to help people with, like migraine, neuropathy, the things that can be caused by so many different issues and present so uniquely in each body. This product is the one product I have found that has been able to really touch those hard, I don't know things. It just covers bases. It works really nicely. Now, PEA can be used in small doses. It can also be used in very large doses safely. We don't store PEA. It's used on demand. So the best outcomes with this is we're giving our body this consistently. Great for allergies, great for recovery, great for cardiovascular grade, you name it, but really fantastic in those pain levels and then recovery. If I didn't say it already, these products can be taken alongside pharmaceuticals, typically prescribed for pain and inflammation. We also have customers who use relief alongside IV infusions for fibromyalgia and MS. This product's been now on the market for 7 years. We've never had an adverse effects report in our QA/QC. Oh, not a problem at all. So great question. So when we look at pharmaceutical research in conjunction with CBD, we have more research in that field than any other ingredient I've ever discussed in 25 years of supplementation. Because when the pharmaceutical companies were trying to monopolize on CBD, they had to have justification, which means clinical studies. And in the clinical studies, it's always deemed basically bad form to remove people from needed pharmaceuticals to test a drug. So in this case, CBD was always added to the drug cocktails. Okay. So we have a large body of research on psychotropic meds, blood thinners, statins, benzodiazepines. And what we see with CBD is that it does not have a contraindication with pharmaceuticals until your CBD dose starts to exceed 100 milligrams or more. Then we would start to be aware. We start to see that things like statins and benzodiazepines will start to be less effective at higher intake of CBD. because the CBD is taking priority at the receptor. We also, at the 100 milligram plus mark, start to worry about drugs that work like Coumadin, that are dealing with liver, all the drug groups where they say avoid grapefruit. Once we get into those high milligrams of CBD, we start to see some concern there. But this is what we also see in CBD, is that the average CBD user is using between 15 and 50, with the highest percentage being 25 to 30. So most people getting benefit from these products are never moving into the concern space. So really, we're seeing a pretty broad safety profile with this, even alongside pharmaceuticals. One, maintenance, 2 to 4 can be taken during crisis, guys. There is very, very little THC in this. It is considered a full spectrum product, but if we looked at it per soft gel, you're getting 0.001 milligram is what it would basically break down. It's non-detectable. Doesn't even show up in the certificate of analysis.
One day I would be like false positive.
So that's really nuanced. We never give guarantees with CBD, and the reason is because there are different types of drug tests. So if you know that your employer, your pain clinic, whoever, the government is not a good example. Most employers, they are running a THC specific drug test. The average THC specific drug test is not going to pick up one of these a day. However, private companies can set their parameter to whatever they determine. So most companies just want to miss people who are smoking all day, every day, and can't operate machinery. They want you to show up. But if you're hiring on a really conservative company, they can zero out that, and it could potentially pick up trace amounts. And then if you are like you are going through a pain management clinic, or you work for the government, they're getting an entirely different type of drug test. They give broad spectrum drug tests. Broad spectrum drug tests pick up everything. They pick up CBD, THC, CBN. They also are the groups who won't eat a poppy seed muffin because poppy seeds test positive for heroin, and they won't take Benadryl because that looks like meth on the test. Yeah, don't touch our products if you're broad spectrum drug tested. Don't really go into an actual health food store and take anything terpene rich because you're probably going to test positive. So you have to know a lot of information before you determine with cannabinoids. Would be my outcome.
Because they used to, I don't drink, and sometimes I want to use wine cooking, and they used to tell me they call it alcohol-free wine. They can't call it alcohol-free wine anymore. It has to be de-alcoholized because it has the whole bottle has 0.01% in the entire bottle. I'm like,
Something happened somewhere.
I'm like,
something happened somewhere. Somebody was successfully able to sue somebody for something.
I'm like, seriously, de-alcoholized.
Yeah. We can say THC free on our labels for our THC free products, but I'm very quick to explain to people that just means it's not detectable, that it's impossible to get trace amounts of substance. It's a caffeine decaf.
Yeah.
You can't do Yeah. So that is the relief. I love this. Oh, also, this is not for humans, but if you love animals, like I love animals, I do a lot of animal rescue. When CBD alone is not working for the pain, the skin issue, like the animal's end of life, I do a lot of dog hospice. I jump into the relief. I get better outcome with that than I do with gabapentin and trazodone because it doesn't knock them out, but it gives them enough pain relief that they're comfortable and they can get up to eat and drink and go potty. I've used this more in stage of life in the last 5 years for animals than anything else I've come across in all my years. Good for horses too, but yeah, a lot. They're very expensive. Llamas, I'm sure any mammal, all mammals have an endocannabinoid system, so they can all benefit from that. And if you deal with skin issues like topical, it could be anything. It could be eczema, psoriasis, it could be bug bites, it could be poison oak, poison ivy. We're getting into camping season. It could be hemorrhoids. You can squeeze the contents of the tube, also great for sunburns. You can squeeze the contents of the tube into some jojoba oil, olive oil, whatever oil you have on hand. It can be tallow, I don't care, cooking oil. You can rub it on topically. It takes the pain, the sting, the inflammation away almost immediately. The itch, great for little kids if they get bug bites or whatever they rolled around it. It stops them from like
Chiggers.
ripping. Oh, great for chiggers. My son goes to an outdoor forest school and they get the chiggers and we make up big baths. Basically, we spend a lot of time squeezing, really hoping will come out topical. It is really hard for it. Like, we need to put this into something so I'm not squeezing these soft gels out and all this oil. So we use it a lot.
That's happened to us. We were at, tell the story.
We were in the Dominican, my mom, but we went to a nail spot, and she thought her foot was getting infected. Joe popped one of those open and squeezed them out.
So smart.
Yeah. And
So smart.
I didn't know at all that you could use them topically, but I had taken some relief with me to the Dominican Republic. And that's kind of.
That's a little sketchy.
Well, it is, but I couldn't live without my relief capsules, you know what I'm saying? But we got
Did
over.
you put them in another bottle?
did.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
And so we get over there, and his mom had some infection thing going on her toe, and we're, over there, you can't just go to the doctor. So I'm like, well, hold on. Popped one and squirted on her toe. Literally, what, the very same or next day.
She was fine.
It went away. The pain was gone. She could walk. And we were blown away.
I've seen it work for mastitis.
Wow.
I've seen it work on styes. I've seen it work. I mean, things that you were things I was pretty sure we were going to end up having to go get some antibiotics for. Here's a great for eczema and psoriasis. I bet it's fantastic for diaper rash. I was out of that phase by the time this one came out, so we weren't there, but it's good stuff. Good stuff. And I think it retails, like if you break it down per soft gel, it's only like $1.20 a day.
Yeah.
So in the world of CBD products, it's one of the more economical options out there. But any questions for anybody? If I didn't answer it already?
I often tell the story you told a couple years ago when you came to do this class about in Russia, the PEA. And wasn't it something to deal with? The Russian government made all their workers take
Yes.
PEA, or they couldn't work for the government because they did a huge study and found that people that would break their bones or get sick of any kind of way, PEA would recover them times 5 or more, and they could go back to work faster.
Yeah.
So anyone that works through, for them has to they mandate that they take PEA every day.
The drug group had gone to the Soviet leaders and said, hey, we think we have something here, but we need some clinical studies. So we don't have the money and we don't have the people to do the studies. And the Soviet leaders were like, they don't have a choice here. We would love to test your drug. And they gave half their factory workers Impulsin, PEA labeled under Impulsin, and the other half did not. And I believe the study was supposed to go, I want to say it was supposed to go for 6 years, but it was so clear that they cut it at 3. It was supposed to go for 3 and they cut it a year and a half. But they cut it by half, the trial time, because it was so obvious that the impulsive group was so much more robust and vital that they made it a rule in Soviet communist controlled states that if you were working and everybody worked for the state, you had to take Impulsin. And then we lose it. So then we get the Flexner report. And I don't know if are you familiar with the Flexner report? So the Flexner report was funded by all the oil tycoons. They knew they needed a way to dispose of their petroleum waste. And they discovered that they could make pharmaceutical medicine out of their petroleum. And this was a whole new market. And then they went to all of the medical schools and they said, hey, we would like you to educate on our petroleum medicine. And they're like, no, we have holistic medicine. It's worked for thousands of years. So the oil people hired a man who ended up going and becoming one of the people who got rid of drugs in America. But he went and he wrote the Flexner report. And the Flexner report essentially demonized all homeopathy, all herbal, all nutritional science. They demonized these people. If they spoke out, they were called crazy and they were put in the loony bin. Anybody who ever wants to speak to power is called crazy and locked away. Then he goes back to the medical schools and he goes, okay, now there's no more holistic medicine. We'll give you a lot of money if we can write your medical books. So we get petroleum-based medicine. Holistic medicine, which has worked for thousands of years, becomes alternative for snake oil or quackery. And we end up with pharmaceuticals that come with a whole lot of side effects, and they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And with the side effects, they sell us more pharmaceuticals. Super fun times. But yeah, so the Flexner report and all of that happening is where we see PEA disappear. But if none of that had taken place, PEA was slated to be something that, like, literally we'd all just take and would have just been part of society.
So it's an important compound.
Strong.
We're going to got me to get the CBG with it for my broken wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I've broken my shoulder and my thigh and my femur. And 7 weeks after I broke my wrist, I was taking that CBG and I was doing fights. Yeah, and like it took like 3 months for my leg just to get back on my exercise.
The inflammation
Yeah, it was
benefits that is
amazing. I was
amazing.
like-
It also stimulates new osteoclasts.
It
So
was
it's accurate osteoblasts. So
Yeah.
it stimulates the cells that make the bone, and then it slows down the osteoclasts, which are the ones that break it down too quickly. So it's a great modulator. You're still having bone issues, you want to take boron in a calcium fructoborate form if you're not already. Boron,
Like supplement.
yeah. But you want to find it in, like, specifically, there's a lot of different, like malate, citrate, you specifically want it in calcium fructoborate. A company that makes it, just to make it easy, Vibrant Health. They make a great boron product. Not only is boron anti-cancer, it stops cells that are mutating from mutating further, and it stops them from basically creating other problems. But it's one of the best things for bone formation. It's fantastic for our joints. It's really important for our hormones. So it's kind of a missing link in anybody who's dealing with bone or joint issues. And we used to be very densely concentrated in our ground soil. And that and magnesium have depleted almost 80% since 1979. So we're just not getting it.
So boron would be good for kidney osteo.
Oh, yeah. Well, and not only the osteoporosis, osteopenia bone side of it, but 6 milligrams of boron in the calcium fructoborate form was shown to be a better anti-inflammatory than turmeric or ibuprofen.
Wow. You take a lot of work too. So.
Yeah, and I found, and then Jennifer was telling me that if you're a hot body, not a cold body, if you are a hot body, you shouldn't take turmeric because turmeric
It's a warming.
is a
warming.
warming
It can
herb, and that can create more inflammation.
It can. Too much of anything is too much.
Right.
But yeah, I love boron. One of my favorite research papers ever written is on boron. It's called "There's Nothing Boring About Boron." It like made my nerdy little heart so happy when I read it. And he writes it in a way that is so approachable. A lot of times those research papers, you get into them and you're like, this is really boring. I need to get to the end. But this guy just made boron so exciting. Why isn't everybody taking boron?
Nobody talks about that.
No, they don't. They don't. And in fact, they tried to make it illegal at one point for companies to sell the calcium fructoborate because it's actually cancer treatment in other countries. So the FDA was trying to shut it down here, and they ended up kind of losing their focus on that. And that was when they ended up going towards all of the NEC products.
Oh, I forgot.
They diverted to detox instead. They decided that boron wasn't enough of a. People weren't paying attention to it.
Right,
But NEC they were.
right. NAC, that's another compound. Is that similar to kind of like PEA or is it different?
NAC is amino acid, and NAC is beneficial because it's one of the components that helps our body make glutathione. And we need glutathione for detoxification. It's a major antioxidant in the body. It helps us with free radical scavenging. and it's very important in our ability to stay healthy from a respiratory standpoint and an immune standpoint. So we were getting a lot of focus on NAC during COVID because it's so good for respiratory illnesses. Nuance with NAC is that if you take too much of it, most people will stay on that 1,200 milligrams because that's the therapeutic dose. But that's really only meant to be when you're sick. Those high doses should be very short term when you're sick or in a serious detox, because over time, too much NAC will start to strip the lubrication in the nasal passages, which will then leave you more susceptible to illness because all of that lubrication is basically what all the mucus, we hear about mucus is a bad thing, but mucus isn't a bad thing. We make about a pound of it a day. It's not, it's really necessary. We need mucus. What we don't want is mucin. That's when it starts to evaporate, and instead of being thin and protective and kind of flowing, when we get sick, it evaporates and it becomes mucin. And mucin is that thick, icky stuff that makes us all feel gross and the lump in the throat. And when mucin thickens up, it leaves parts exposed, and that's where the gooey stuff sticks and then replicates, and we get sicker. So we want the mucus, we just want to keep it really thin, and too much NAC will thicken that up. So it's a sweet spot. Daily use, you'd want to stick to like 200 to 400 milligrams. That's great for maintenance, prevention. But when we get too many people in need, are taking way too much of it. And then you can't just take NAC and expect it to make glutathione. You also have to have enough tryptophan in your diet. You need to have enough selenium in your diet, which a lot of people don't have. You need a lot of different components to end up actually creating the glutathione.
Right.
So one of the things without all the friends. Not
Gotta have the
pretty
entourage.
problematic. In fact, and not to go off on another tangent, but like viruses, we don't die of the virus. We die of the depletion the virus causes. HIV, we're dying basically glutathione breakdown. Like the body is using so much glutathione to deal with the HIV virus that it starts to deplete the nutrients. And you can see it in the different stages of HIV. The immune system goes first because selenium goes first. And then glutamine, when you start to see the glutamine side of it all go, that's like skin. The skin all starts to break down. The cysteine side is the NAC. Then you start to see more respiratory issues come up. They have a hard time detoxifying, liver issues. Nutrition's important.
Yeah, we don't get it from our food.
No, but we're seeing more. Nutrition was never really talked about by pharmaceutical side. And in like the last 3 years, I have gone to a whole lot of integrative. There are places similar to this, but they'll have a pharmacist attached to it. I mean, it's not hundreds at this point, but I'd say in the last 3 years, I've been to at least 40 different pharmacists that will not fill a prescription unless you are counseled on the nutrient depletion that prescription will cause, and given recommendations for supplements to compensate. And most of them have programs for people who don't have the money for the supplements, where other customers are like paying it forward. So if you can't afford your magnesium, they'll basically get it donated to you. Or if you're going to fill a statin, they insist that you get CoQ10 with that statin. They talk to you about how it's going to, statins, when we take statins, it blocks the pathway that makes cholesterol. It's called the Melevant pathway. And that can be great at getting our cholesterol levels down, but that pathway also is where we make all of our sex hormones. That's why so many men within 3 years of starting a statin are looking at erectile dysfunction medication, because it's correlated. That statin is also that Melevant pathway is also where we make all of our CoQ10. So many people within a year of statin start to deal with a lot of muscle fatigue, pain in their knees. They start to deal with heart issues. That's the CoQ10. The statin's depleting that CoQ10. That's your ATP. That's your heart energy. And then we need it to convert vitamin D into a usable hormone. So people on statins usually within a year are vitamin D deficient. So these pharmacists, most pharmacists don't have that conversation with you. Most doctors don't discuss it with you, but these guys actually do. And I'm seeing that trend expand every year. So I feel like although it can feel overwhelming and there's a lot of negatives in our medical system, there are individuals who are refusing to let that be status quo. Unfortunately, a lot of them have to go out on their own and they stop taking insurance because the only way to do it is to break away from the system. So that limits it to a certain type of person who can pay out of pocket. I feel like we're at the end of so many crumbling systems. I'm like, the world's ending, but I'm optimistic that their rebuild is going to be amazing.
Right.
Version 2.
Rebuild better, rebuild ethically.
Well, people are taking note of their health now. People kind of see the pharmaceutical system that's failed us. And everyone's like, oh, okay, well, let's get back to nature.
Yeah.
But then the question is, well, what's natural?
I'm a big fan of both. Like, I think really the best place we can be is finding the both. Like, I think 90% should be preventative. It should be lifestyle. It should be becoming knowledgeable about the foods we're eating, the places we're living, the compounds we're exposed to, and then finding the right way to eat for our own needs. But I also feel like Western medicine is a beautiful thing when it's needed. But we have to acknowledge that with every pharmaceutical, every procedure, there is a trade-off. It's kind of like fast food. Like we go to the convenience of the drive-through, but we're paying a price for that. And every pharmaceutical and every procedure has a price. And that's where my issue lies with it. A lot of people aren't getting the informed consent. They're not being taught how to recover fully. And it becomes a revolving door of medicalization as opposed to, we all have very different toolboxes. We use the various toolboxes when needed. But the best advice I was ever given was, if you need to go to a conventional hospital, doctor, whatever, let them fix you and then get your butt to a naturopath or a natural food store as quickly as you can after to get put back together because they're life-saving. Don't call me when your arm's been torn off. I'm not going to be helpful. But when you need to recover your gut because they had an IV of antibiotics in you for 5 weeks, I'm your girl. It'd be wonderful if our medical, like if you could put into your insurance to talk to somebody like me or to come in and talk to somebody like you, and that we could use our health savings accounts towards things like CBD or lemon balm or omega-3 fatty acids that were not given by a pharmaceutical giant like Eli Lilly. That is my hope. Money out of politics and then everything else will be beautiful.
They started that new program, didn't they, for hemp-derived CBD? It's now
We are currently working with the government to get CV Sciences plus CBD as one of,
really
there would be 3 brands that we look like we're on. We're going to be on the list. We're like the only brand that has the amount of research and
Right.
clinical studies done on our own product to meet their, like, we have GRAS affirmation. GRAS means generally recognized as safe. You pay for your product to be put through long-term safety studies. We're the only CBD company who did that on our product. We have a QA/QC. Nobody else had QA/QC. We have our own quality control. We've been adverse event reporting for the last 10 years plus and been submitting those to the FDA. So we were in a good place for that. It's so weird. They're getting it approved by Medicaid, but then simultaneously destroying the retail side of it. It's so confusing.
I'm getting it approved by Medicaid.
They're trying to get CBD.
I can get.
Not
Well,
yet.
not yet.
You're not there yet.
It's a pilot program. It just started April 1st.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I get Medicaid.
And we're trying to be accepted as one of the brands that would be part of it. But it was very confusing because that announcement came out either right before, within days of the hemp ban
Yeah.
going through that would make 98% of our products illegal as of November. So we're simultaneously working with government who like in November is also the same government that's talking about putting us out of business. Very weird.
It's very strange.
Very weird. It's like both they're not talking to each other. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I don't have a team on the, I think that we just need to. Same broken bird at this point. Just different wings, and we can all do a little bit better with some purging, but sadly I think purging comes with a lot more blood than having this one. But we'll see where CBD is gonna be in a year from now.
Or if that means they can go to stores like mine and just use their HSA. Or if they'll,
I'm guessing that they are gonna funnel that specifically through somebody who they somehow profit third party from.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
Or to go straight through the company,
Or go straight through the doctor, like the doctor would have to
Oh,
submit
a relationship.
a real, like it would then go far, like become more pivoting through like a physician. So you have to see.
The way the news made it seem was they went into a retail store and just, hemp-derived CBD will soon be, they made it seem.
And it very well may come. That doesn't seem to be what we're experiencing while we're navigating the approval process with them.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like what we were talking about here in Ohio. They're making these laws, but they're not giving anybody the specific framework and how to navigate anything.
Right.
So we're all kind of in like this gray area of guessing.
So weird. And then on top of that, they're making it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. So you've got all these major cannabis moves happening all at the same time. But what we're seeing on the ground is the criminalization.
I think it all is just interest. The people making the decisions have more money invested in the marijuana side, and hemp is seen as a threat to the marijuana industry.
Yeah, I see that big time.
Now-
They say hemp is multi-billion-dollar a year industry, has been for 10 years in a row.
And it also seems, and this at least was what we got from the hemp ban. So there was the Ohio hemp ban that you all are dealing with now, but the federal hemp ban, when we were out, the government was shut down, and then they signed it back in. Mitch McConnell, before he disappeared, he signed us back in. In that bill, hidden in that bill, was the hemp ban. That as of November, anything with any more than 0.3% per package of THC will be illegal. That was, I love you, thank you so much for all your support from the bourbon industry. The bourbon industry feels that they're losing more business to hemp-derived THC products, and it really wasn't products like ours. It was the 60 milligram drinks that are being sold on Facebook. It was the Rice Krispie treats that are being sold on TikTok. These are products that were never meant to be wellness. They are directly competitive with the dispensaries. People don't have to leave their homes. They don't have to pay the taxes. They're usually lower cost. They're giving them buy one, get one free deals. And honestly, if I had spent all that money and all that time getting a dispensary permit for somebody on Facebook to be undercutting me with a product that I couldn't afford to sell, I'd probably be really annoyed too. But then this side of the hemp industry got pulled into all of that. So it's unfortunate. But yeah, the alcohol industry really seems to be the ones that have the bigger problem with the hemp products than even the dispensaries do.
See, my doctor here at the Red Drinking the years ago, she said, of all the things you know for your health, I've done a lot of different things, she said, giving up alcohol is probably the best thing to do. She said, there's absolutely not one beneficial, nothing beneficial about alcohol.
It seems that that's the research.
I mean,
That even
she's
in
like, there's
small
not one good
amounts.
thing you can say about it. She goes, good morning in bed, she goes, smoke a joint. She goes, no, don't smoke. Take it down. She's like, but don't you? She's like, she said there's nothing, and they have so much power.
Yeah, I mean, I even am a little concerned. I talked about this. I'm a little concerned about the overconsumption of THC as well, if I'm being honest. The products on the market today that have THC in them, for the most part, again, not talking about wellness products in a store like this that are like 5 to 10 milligrams, but dispensary cannabis, we're looking at like 25 to 35% THC in those products if it's a flower. That never existed in nature. That is man's manipulation of the plant. long, like Maui Wowie days, sitting on like 1980s, when you're picking the seeds out, like the way I started with weed, that was CBD THC balanced. You have a little bit more THC that got you high, but there was always CBD. They were in ratio with each other. In really simple terms, THC is gas to your endocannabinoid system. CBD is the brake. What happens if I only drive my car with gas? I'm running into a cliff eventually, or I'm going off, or I'm gonna hit. THC on its own, or in these very high doses, is problematic. It doesn't have the buffer.
Right.
And when we use that repetitively, what happens is the THC molecule is very similar to our body's own THC. It's a molecule called anandamide. Ananda is the Sanskrit word for bliss. We don't see this with CBD. We see it with THC. When our body gets too much THC, it starts to say, hey, I don't need to make that anandamide. I don't need to make my bliss and euphoria anymore because you're giving me a plant version. And I'm going to save energy. But the plant version only sticks around for about 6 to 8 hours. And if you're using it repetitively, you're going to start to feel that around the 4-hour mark. And you're going to want to smoke again because your body's not making the molecule that used to hang around for 2 whole days. So you become compulsive. That's a problem because anandamide is a precursor to all of your endorphins, all of your bonding hormones like oxytocin. You start to get desensitized. And it can also start to negatively affect your gray matter of your brain. We start to see shrinking within the gray matter of the brain. So I love THC. I am prone to some misuse around it. And I have to be very honest with myself. If we want to love THC, we don't want to destroy our own health around it. We don't want to create issues that weren't there previously. For every milligram of THC you consume, you want at least 2 of CBD. That's how the plant used to exist. For every 3 to 6 months you consume high THC. High THC is considered anything above 10 milligrams a day. 1 to 10 is your wellness range. When we regularly go above 10 milligrams or go to the festival more often than not, we want to take a month off. Taking that month off is going to reset that anandamide cascade for us. We're going to start getting our own bliss and euphoria. You also want to take 200 to 600 milligrams of L-theanine a day. L-theanine is going to lessen compulsivity around cannabis, and it's going to protect the gray matter in the brain from shrinking. Important. Now, if you are somebody like me and you use too much THC regularly, and you're like, well, I do need to take a break. If it's resonating with you right now, the herb saffron will stimulate your body to make anandamide faster, so you will feel better and less cranky in that first week while your body recalibrates itself. But if I could give that advice to every young person who is walking around thinking it's natural and it's safe because it's natural, when it comes to cannabis, I would scream, you are not smoking, you are not consuming something natural. When they got rid of cannabis and it went underground and it was controlled by mob bosses, they changed the structure of the plant to make it more psychoactive because more psychoactivity meant more customers. People want to detach. So just make sure we're using responsibly, because the one thing I know is that if we don't use this plant responsibly, they'll take it away. In Colorado, within 5 years of going recreational, saw a 3,000% increase in schizophrenia among its 18 to 30-year-olds. Because if you use a whole bunch of THC, especially when you're very young, before your brain is fully developed, 25 to 27, and you have a family history for psychoaffective disorders, you are begging to flip that switch on. Bipolar, rage, they've known this for over 100 years. They've known that early access to high levels of cannabis was almost a guarantee for schizophrenia, because all the people who were very young in the hospitals and in prisons all had earlier use of cannabis. We don't, and I know people, I did not wait till I was 25. I get it. But if we are talking to young people about this plant, we want them to be smart about using it, I would beg them to please wait until their brains are fully developed. Before 25, 27, there's no benefit to THC whatsoever. The caveat to that would be if I'm in a war situation or something that is sure to induce traumatic PTSD like things, right after a trauma, THC is fantastic because it stops the brain from creating a long-term trauma. Shuts it down. So in that situation, I can see THC being beneficial in use, but outside of that use, I cannot. On the flip side of that, THC helps us forget, CBD helps us remember. So when I meet people who tell me I take CBD, it gives me really weird dreams that make me uncomfortable, or it makes me think uncomfortable thoughts, I'll often ask them, are you somebody who spent your whole life shoving down your uncomfortable feelings? And then your eyes get big and they go, how did you know? It's like, the CBD helps us remember. It's bringing that all up. And some people don't want to bring it all up. So CBD sometimes makes them uncomfortable.
Nice.
Yeah. But THC is great for forgetting.
Scares you my therapist job.
Well, uncomfortable leads to endocannabinoid.
That's true.
As long as we can manage the uncomfortable. Like, we want to be strained just enough that with rest and support, our body is able to overcome the challenge. Like, heat therapy is fantastic. Being in a sauna is great, but if we got to hypothermia, that's a maladaptation. So it's like, push it just to the point where you don't think you can, and then let the body recover. We don't want you pushing it to the puke. I feel like I have to say that in today's world because we tend to be pretty extreme people. I've had people come up to me on detoxes being like, I'm really sick. I wish I've been told I need to keep going. I'm like, no. I think you're taking too much of whatever that is. Nobody should feel that bad. There are healing detoxes where you feel like fluish, but there's a point where too much is too much. Thanks for coming, guys. Did you say you have a bottle you wanted to give, if people want to, if you want to help yourself to a few to take home, there's nothing in this that is going to give it a specific sedative effect. In this product, people's reporting us has been that they don't feel stimulated, they don't feel sedated, they just feel better. So most people can take this any time of day. There are a few odd ducks when it comes to cannabinoids that they are slightly stimulating for them. So just if you're somebody who's not sure how you respond, the first time I try it, I take it at a time where if you're like get a little rev from it, you still have enough time to burn it off. If you're somebody who gets a little sleepy, you want to go take a nap, then that's okay too. You can have whatever reaction to it you want. Oh, pass it on, sister.
Anybody have any questions about this stuff? Yeah.
How much does it cost?
It's like $33 for a 30 count, or 37 actually, I think it is. So the 35-inch, the 60 counts. Yeah. We got it.
Of course, we're not going to say no to you about that.
The 60 counts are $63. I know that. They have a money back guarantee.
We guarantee all of our products.
That's hard to find in this industry.
So, we have a license until next November.
Yes, even if the ban goes through in its current language, we will have an alternative product in time for that, but it will be with our THC-free oil. It'll still feel the same. It'll just be a slightly different oil that we're using to be able to be compliant with the law. So the same amount of CBD, you're going to get a little bit less terpene value. Is basically the word you're going to lose some stuff. But we will have a replacement. We might add some other herbs to it just to like boost the effectiveness in various areas, but we won't roll it out unless we feel confident that it works as well, if not better.
I've never seen greater results than with this soft gel here. I mean,
That's good stuff.
I've seen 2 cases of Crohn's disease completely in remission.
Really?
Crohn's, yes.
Takes, the infusion.
Oh,
It's not a problem. She's a nurse too.
Take a couple for her if you want.
Yeah, Lynn, but she probably.
I might have some little baggies or something.
Yeah, well, I stay home here, last month, and tomorrow, I'll see.
But they had to test the women, there's two different women that came in, two different times, 2 different years that said they don't have pregnancy anymore.
I mean, really, the products we sell, I get great, wonderful testimonials wherever I go. But this one,
It takes the cake,
life changing
it really is.
for the people who. I have a girlfriend who has endometriosis. She used to lose at least 10 days out of every month to menses issues. She said she now loses about 24 to 36 hours, where she's
Oh my,
uncomfortable,
wow.
but not decimated. She can still be a mom. She needs her heating packed when she drives. Like, I didn't get rid of it, but she got 10 days back. It's huge. We had a woman at my gym, Jamie. She gets IV infusion. She has horrible rheumatoid arthritis. Her medicine used to cost her $3,000 a month. She was able to get it down to $800 a month. She takes 4 of these, and they were able to decrease the medicine that drastically. Life changing for somebody to get that kind of money back. And she's also knitting again, and she can work in her garden. 2 things she wasn't able to do even on all the medicine. Oh, my friend, one of my really good friends, she had a 6-year-old. His whole entire body was covered in more eczema than it was clear. Within 3 months, all the patches were almost completely gone. I have lower back issues, and when I literally within 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, what? I just love it.
Wow, wow.
Love it.
That's
you so
interesting
much.
too, is what you were saying about the boron.
Boron's a good one.
Because I'm just starting to get to the point where, the osteoporosis is starting to get worse than when you put me on that Fosamax.
No, don't let him put Fosamax. Fosamax stops the natural
Yeah, so I said,
cycle. So it
So-
builds bone on brittle bone, and then you're more likely to break.
yeah, five breaks and, what else did you say?
Don't do that, I did it.
5 breaks and something else. And so I got the prescription and I took one and I'm not taking it off, at all.
So that same company, Vibrant Health, that makes boron, they have a joint product. It's called Joint Vibrance. It tastes like salty to me. It's powder. You have to drink it. And the flavor, for some people, they're like, I can't deal with the flavor, and it's pretty good. But what I love about it is it's the only formula I've ever seen where you take it every day for 6 weeks, and then you can go down to 3 times a week. They reduce your burst set, reset formation, it does all of this stuff to feed the chondrocytes, to get new cartilage. You have to cell to feed.
Right.
But if you have even one cell for cartilage, it will stimulate cartilage production. The reason for 6 weeks though is most people joint supplements don't work for them because it takes full 6 weeks for all of the substances to get past the synovial band and actually affect the joint. So you need that 6-week build to travel across the band, and then you can do it 3 days a month or 3 days a week to maintain results. It does have 3 milligrams of that calcium cruciaborate already in it.
Okay.
In your situation, I would take an extra 3, which you should be at 6 milligrams calcium cruciaborate. And then you have a time of day where you are empty stomach, and it would be convenient to do so. There is an enzyme called serrapeptase. It's SERRAPEPTASE. Serrapeptase in people over 45 is almost always in the same lane, because what serrapeptase does is it eats all of the unhealthy scar tissue and fascial adhesions that are stopping the movement and motion and flexibility that we need to get healthy. So that serrapeptase will start to eat all of that away. It also lowers inflammation in and of itself. So usually within 2 months, you start to notice a big heal.
Okay.
More flexibility, less stiffness, but it has to be empty stomach, because if it's not on an empty stomach, it'll just digest the protein in your food.
I'm a walking erector set.
go off on this tangent.
No,
Like,
the
Oh,
tangents
no,
are
it's
all
very
good.
I side quest.
That was so helpful.
Good. That's my cool thing.
Oh,
So
my
I spent a lot of years learning all this stuff, and I love to get it out.
Yeah. I feel that.
I feel like people should be able to feel good in the bodies they were given, no matter what the
Right.
card in the lottery they drew. Like,
Yeah.
and I hate that so much of this is kept from us, and so many of us believe we're supposed to, like, it's normal to feel this crappy. It's not. You did it to us.
Well, it's, the government, they subsidize Frito-Lay to put chemicals in our foods, but pharmaceuticals can, poison our people so that we can fix them with something they don't,
Well, it also makes us compliant.
yeah,
Sick, tired people don't rise.
yeah, it's true.
And all of that inflammation has been shown to actually lower our IQ. The fluoride in our
That
water
explains a lot.
makes us complacent.
That explains a lot.
Glyphosate destroys the shikimate pathway, and over time that makes us unable to process the alkaloids in our food, and that's literally the medicine to our bodies. Yeah, and I mean, either it's a really interesting coincidence, or they're playing long game. Best thing I ever did was detach from the system. I don't want your medical care. I don't want your schools.
Right.
Leave alone.
Never knew that.
I would love to be able to get off the water and their electrical, but you need a whole lot of money to do that.
Well, here in Hocking Hills, they
Oh,
have,
I love hockey.
well, so I've been hunting water there for 10 years now. I haven't drank tap water in 10 years. Ask these guys. I go down there. Actually, no, we were supposed to go down. We were supposed to go down this. So there's a pipe coming out of the side of a rock, and it's the cleanest
Freshest water you're ever gonna
in
have.
the world. And you can literally
In the
put,
whole world, I found it.
seriously, and you can fit a 5-gallon jug right under it, and the water, it's like perfect height.
Can I ask how you know it's the cleanest? Did you get it tested?
Yeah,
Because it
so
seems
I
like something
bought-
you would
I
do.
bought a $300 meter. to
Of course
test
you
it,
did.
And it's 14 parts per million in that water.
That is magical.
Grove City tap water is 782 parts per million. So that's 782 drugs, everything that goes into the water system. 782 identified things, mostly heavy metals, toxins, impurities, all that kind of stuff. This water from Hocking Hills is 14 parts per million, and it's sodium, it's magnesium, it's.
I bet there's
all
some
that
natural
stuff.
lithium in there
Yeah,
even.
It's living water. So I used to give it to my dog. I used to boil stuff in it. I don't use anything.
Oh, I
like
got-
that.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
I'll
I
take
wanna, now I'm gonna be hunting water.
Well, there's a thing called findaspring.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called findaspring.com. And anywhere in the United States, you can
Don't tell
go.
too many people because they're gonna make it illegal.
I know. That's what everybody, but it's so magical when you go down there. It's like this huge hill, trees everywhere, and there's just at the very bottom of this hill, there's like a rock cave that goes back, and then water just pours out of it. There's lizards down there, like chameleons. So you know that it has to be pure water. Chameleons won't be there. The little lizards.
I didn't know that. That's a good
Yeah.
indicator.
It is good. And so salamanders, yeah. And I'm telling you, this water is so magical.
Sometimes
it's
you have
living.
to wait in line to get it, don't
You
you?
do, yeah, because I pull up in my truck, I have 40 5-gallon jugs, 40 empties. So I load my whole truck, and it takes about, 10 minutes to fill a 5-gallon jug? So we're down
You're
there.
there
for
for hours.
Oh, we're down there 8 hours. It's an all-day event. We were gonna get up at 5 a.m. and try to make it back to here to do this class. Oh, dude, that's not happening. 5 a.m. or not. We're not gonna make it back.
Other
because-
people are like going back, like going home with their deer. You're like, I got the water.
Yeah, seriously.
we're,
My truck
we're
is
ready to
swamped.
go.
Come up here with the water.
What are you out here hunting? Water.
Yeah.
Maybe some morels.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's the whole thing. So it's out there. Nature has
I love
everything we need.
Yeah.
And we just gotta find it, I grow dandelions in my front yard on purpose. Takes no effort.
No.
We do too. We've got the best.
But the best dandelions you ever have, yep. You just pick them all and we use, well, you can eat them, like I just eat them. But,
Dandelion jelly.
dandelion gel,
The
well, I,
roots can be used for medicine.
The
Dandelion
roots,
root. The leaves can be sauteed.
I put the whole plant in vinegar and just let it sit for 8 weeks in vinegar, and then make, like, vegetable salad
Or
dressing.
infused honey.
Yeah. You just take that vinegar, like half vinegar, half olive oil, and you got salad dressing. And it's infused with dandelions.
Canada just find out it kills 90%.
Yeah, they just released a study in Canada. Dandelions will kill 90% of cancer in a petri dish within 24 hours. So dandelion is really it's good. So you got the flower, you've got the root. The root is good for things too. It's all things. Yeah, literally all things. Literally.
When we were looking for houses, it horrified my father. I was like, the lawns here aren't lawns. They're all weeds. I love it. Nobody sprays in this neighborhood. My dad's like, oh my gosh, I want to die. This is
Yeah.
horrible. But they are, like, my whole front lawn is medicine.
Literally.
Like, ooh. I have the purple dead nettle in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I have all the chamomile. There's all sorts of stuff
Side
growing in
garden.
there.
Yeah,
It's all beneficial.
literally.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Oh, this
We
has been-
appreciate
this
it.
has been really, really great.
We hope you love your relief. Take it. Be less inflamed, less in pain. Hopefully your immune system will thank you as well. You'll get sick less often.
Yeah, that's why I want to.
Yeah.